Hello, second graders. We're going to continue on with the magic trap. Hope you are enjoying it. Why did he do that, Evan? Just because their dad loved his job didn't mean he didn't love them too, did it? I don't know, Evan said. His whole body slumped, and then he straightened up suddenly. But I hate him. I hate him for leaving us, again, and for the storm. But the storm isn't his fault, said Jessie seriously. You couldn't blame a person for a hurricane. That was an act of nature. It is his fault. He's a grown-up. He should have known. He should have cared. Jessie didn't know what to say to that. She didn't like it when Evan got angry at their dad. She didn't like it when Evan got angry at their dad, and it made her feel as if somehow she had done something wrong. She looked at Evan. He's just Dad. He shook his head. Jessie couldn't tell if she had said the wrong thing, but Evan's face had lost its angry look. He just looked tired. Oh, come on, he said. Let's check the basement. Jessie was glad that Evan was going first. If this was a horror movie, now was exactly the moment when a zombie would jump out and attack them. She could almost hear the sound of scary music playing. Jessie stepped carefully on the narrow wooden steps. Her hands were full of flashlights, so she couldn't hold onto the railing the way she usually did. She was trying to point the flashlight beams down on the stairs so she could see where she was stepping, when all of a sudden Evan yelled, "Look!" Jessie's first thought was zombie, and she instinctively reached for the railing to turn and run. The flashlight slipped from her hands. She lunged, trying to catch them before they hit the stairs, but her foot slipped and she fell forward, crashing into Evan and then tumbling into the cold, dark water below. "I'm drowning, Evan, I'm drowning!" Evan splashed down into the dirty water and grabbed hold of Jessie. "You're not drowning, just stand up." One of Jessie's flailing arms smacked him across the face and Evan fell back, dunking himself into the sludgy water. He came up sputtering, not sure where Jessie was. The basement was as dark as night, with just a dribble of daylight coming from the open door at the top of the stairs. Evan could hear Jessie splashing and gasping for air, but he couldn't see her. Then he felt a sharp kick underwater. He reached in that direction and grabbed something, pulling it to the surface. "Jessie!" he shouted. "Stop it! The water isn't that deep. Just stand up!" Jessie wrapped both arms around his body, as if letting go of him would mean the end of the world, but he could feel that she had set her feet on the basement floor and was standing on her own. She was coughing hard, but it sounded to Evan as if she was breathing okay. "Come on," he said. "This water is gross." He half dragged her to the stairs and helped her walk up and out of the water. "Why did you yell, 'Look'?" asked Jessie, still coughing. "Because the water's lower. It's gone down 2 whole steps. It was good news." But nothing sounded like good news now that he was soaking wet. When they reached the top of the stairs, Jessie stopped and she sat down. "My socks are squishy wet." Evan knew that Jessie didn't like to have wet clothes, especially wet shoes and socks. She had always been this way ever since she was little. He sat down on the step below her and helped her untie the soggy shoelaces, and then pull off each shoe and peel the soaking wet socks off her feet. Jessie carefully tucked each sock inside her shoe and then tied the wet laces together so that they made an easy-to-carry shoe bundle. She looked at Evan. "Perhaps Professor Hoffman is dead." Evan nodded. "I know. And the climbing tree is gone." Jessie looked at the water below them. "And Dad left us." Evan nodded again. He pushed the bottoms of his pajama pants up past his knees. The wet fabric was sticking to his legs like octopus tentacles. He had lost both slippers when they plunged into the water, and it was too dark to see if they were floating or if they had sunk. And that's when Evan realized the worst thing of all. They had lost all their flashlights. Every single last one of them. They were underwater, and there was no way there were any left in the whole house. How would they make it through another night without flashlights? This is the worst day ever, said Jessie. Evan nodded. There was nothing else to say. Do you think it's over? Asked Jessie. Evan pointed to the steps below. The water's going down. But it's not over yet, said Jessie. It's mostly over, said Evan, but not completely. The rain hasn't stopped. Yeah, but the worst is over, said Evan, starting to feel a little annoyed that Jessie wouldn't let it go. The wind is still howling. Another tree could fall, but it probably won't. I'm just saying, said Jessie. Stop, said Evan. We survived a Category 1 hurricane all by ourselves, and that makes it one of the best days of our whole lives. Jessie was silent for a split second, and then she raised both hands over her head. We're Treskies, and we're tough, she said. Okay, it's a good day. She stood up. But I swallowed dirty water, and I need to go brush my teeth and gargle. Good idea, said Evan, who was eager to get out of his wet t-shirt and pajama pants. And then let's open that freezer and grab some ice cream really quick. Even if it's soup, we can still eat it, all of it. Dibs on the peppermint stick, shouted Jessie as she raced up the stairs and into the kitchen. By the end of the afternoon, the storm was definitely winding down. The wind still gusted from time to time, like a child after a temper tantrum who lets out an occasional howl, just to remind everyone of the fury that has passed. The rain, too, slowed down until it was nothing more than a just drizzle. Evan couldn't believe there was any rain left to even fall. When it started to grow dark, Evan and Jessie discussed the idea of lighting candles. Their mother had several decorative candles for special occasions, and Evan knew how to strike a match, although he wasn't allowed to do it without a grown-up present. In the end, though, they decided to just get through the night in the dark. If we burned down the house on top of everything else, said Jessie, Mom would just kill us. Evan agreed. Besides, at that point, walking around the house in the pitch darkness seemed like no big deal. After what they had been through, it was hardly worth even thinking about. Even Jessie didn't mind the dark as much. It's like being backstage in a play, waiting for the curtain to go up, she said. Just before going to bed, they emptied the drip buckets into the bathroom sink one more time. And Evan felt confident that they would make it through the night without the buckets overflowing. The rain had slowed to a gentle patter, the perfect noise to listen to as they fell asleep. The next morning, the sun was blinding. It sliced through the window, cutting across Evan's eyeballs and yanked him awake. His first thought was buckets, and he hurried out of bed to make sure there wasn't a second flood covering Jessie's bedroom floor. But each bucket had barely an inch of water in it, and all the dripping had stopped. In every room Evan walked into, the sun poured in through the rain-washed windows. The world had never looked so dazzling bright and new. When Jessie woke up, they ate crackers and peanut butter and apples. Evan peeled the skin off the apples for Jessie and cut it into slices. Jessie carefully spread the peanut butter onto the crackers and pressed them together to make sandwiches. I wish we had pancakes, said Jessie, carefully eating over a plate to catch the crumbs. Crackers made a lot of crumbs. Oh, eggs and bacon, said Evan, licking his fingers to catch the ooze of the peanut butter. Waffles, omelets, Mom's coffee cake. They both fell silent for a moment, and then Jessie asked, Do you think Mom will come home today? If she can, she will, said Evan, knowing that this was true. But he also knew that if she didn't make it home by sundown, they were going to have to get some help. Their flashlights were gone, and they were almost out of food. They couldn't go on like this much longer. Oh my gosh, it sounds like they made it through a hurricane, which is amazing. 2 kids all by themselves. So let's see what happens next. Bye. Have a good day.